award-winning and highly respected culinary arts program at Joliet Junior College provides world-class learning and hands-on experience that cover all aspects of the culinary industry. Accredited by the American Culinary Federation Education Foundation, JJC's Culinary Arts program provides training for future chefs, pastry chefs, bakers, caterers, restaurant and food service managers, and entrepreneurs. Students learn by working on the latest equipment in state-of-the-art facilities that were built in 2017. JJC's City Center campus features 2 fully functional student-run restaurants that provide students with the ultimate in both back-of-house and front-of-house learning experiences. The Culinary Arts faculty is composed of full-time, multi-certified culinary and hospitality industry instructors with a combined total of over 140 years of industry experience. JJC currently offers an associate degree in culinary arts and 3 baking and pastry arts certificates. Students pursuing a certificate or degree in the Culinary Arts program will learn the relevant skills needed to eventually become a supervisor, manager, or business owner in the culinary and hospitality industry. Visit jjc.edu/journey for more information.
Welcome back. Again, my name is Professor Eric Bell. I am here with Executive Chef Tim Bucci. We are here in our beautiful City Center campus at Joliet Junior College, doing a little bit of wine and food pairing discussion with you this afternoon. And so we really kind of feel like it's important. Education is really kind of an important thing, and so not only do we think it's important for our students to be educated so they can go out and be really prepared in the industry to work, but we feel like it's important that we continue our education so that we can bring all the nuances and the new things that are happening in the industry. And so, Chef, you just finished a certified master chef a couple years ago, so you want to talk about that a little bit with us?
About 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago, about 5 days ago, I finished it. It's an 8-day cooking exam, about 14 to 18 hours a day, either in the kitchen or back in your hotel room preparing for the next day, so you're constantly doing something. Probably one of the most rigorous exams out there as far as cooking goes. I was fortunate enough to pass on my first try. I'm one of 68 master chefs in the United States and one of 4 in Illinois. So
that's insane. And so the failure rate is pretty high, isn't it?
Yes, the pass rate on the first try is 10%, and on the second time it's like 27%. So, and it's more of a personal goal than anything else.
Yeah, I know when you were going through it, we were all back here at the school kind of watching what you were doing and just really kind of rooting for you and just watching watching you cook, how hard it was and how busy you were and behind the line. And so congratulations for doing that. Really, really super proud of you, man. So, and then for myself, I am currently finishing my doctoral of educational leadership, and I will be doing my presentation of my dissertation April the 15th of this year and graduating at the end of April. So here at the school, we provide a program where in 2 to 2.5 years, you can graduate with a culinary arts management degree, associate's degree in culinary arts management. And so we would like for you to maybe come and check us out. We're doing these videos to kind of give you sort of a little bit of an insight as to what we do here. And so as we're going through the cooking process today with Chef, he's going to be talking about some of the techniques. So what are some of the things you're going to be talking about today from a technique perspective, Chef?
We're doing a little grilled chicken breast. Pretty simple. You know, we can marinate it if we wanted to, or put a spice rub. But
sure.
I'm going to also do a pineapple salsa, but it's kind of a cooked salsa a little bit to kind of soften the flavors of some of the ingredients, and depending on how sweet the pineapple is. Okay, and then also we're going to make a coconut curry sauce. Pretty simple sauce. Nothing, using curry powder instead of curry paste. And then also the cooking of jasmine rice. So that is kind of a big issue with some people, cooking jasmine rice. If I can just finish this real quick.
Sure, absolutely.
So basically what I did here, and I'll kind of go over it again, I have 1 cup of rice, and 9 ounces of liquid. So my ratio for Jasmine rice, and I do kind of the same thing for basmati and sushi rice, is 1.1 to 1. So 1.1 liquid to 1 part rice.
Gotcha.
So if it's like 11 ounces of liquid, it's 10 ounces of rice. I rinse my rice, rinse off some of that exterior starch to keep it from really clumping together. I added pineapple juice, so you can add just straight water, you can add orange juice, you can add other flavorings. I've added beet juice to give it a purplish color, which is kind of cool. Pineapple juice and a little bit of water, just so it's not all pineapple. And then I added a little bit of ginger, lime zest, and salt in the beginning.
So the pineapple juice becomes part of the liquid then? So it's, okay.
Yep, so it just absorbs all that flavor,
Perfect.
right? So, and then bring it to a boil. We want to cover it real tight. So I'm using foil. If you have a lid, you can cover it with a lid, or you can do foil and a lid. And so you have to listen to it boil or look at the foil kind of puff up. And then turn it down as low as you can get your stove.
Sure.
15 minutes covered on the heat, and then 15 minutes off the heat covered with a towel. Okay, so I'm at that point where I can take this off. I'm gonna move it off the heat, and I'm gonna cover it with a towel. The reason, you could see right when I turned the flame off, it started to steam. If you leave the foil on, it's gonna create condensation, and then that water is gonna drop back into the rice. So here, this steam is gonna get trapped in the towel. It's not gonna drop back. So 15 minutes on, very low, after it boils, 15 minutes off, covered with a towel, your jasmine rice will be ready.
And I think most of the recipes that I've ever seen were always 2 parts water to 1 part rice, and that's what you told me earlier, that's what's causing it to kind of get really clumpy and sticky.
And that's for like maybe long grain rice, which can be a little bit less than that too. But every rice is different also, but that's a pretty good ratio. You never really want to cook this rice using all this liquid at once, and that's why I'm letting it kind of steam and finish going through that cooking process very slowly. So same thing when I do sushi rice. By no means am I a sushi master, but I feel like I do a pretty good job with the rice.
Sure. And then I also teach at the school, I teach a class called Flavor Pairing Dynamics. And basically what we do in that class is we talk about beverages, wine and beer and spirits and coffee. We initially kind of take the students by the hand, tell them what recipes they're going to do. We tell them what wines or beverages they're going to pair with those different food items. We go into the kitchens and we kind of cook and we taste and we kind of analyze. And eventually by the time the semester gets about halfway through, the students are really good at picking their own recipes and then choosing their own varietals and their own wines that they want to pair with that. And then we do the same thing. We go, we cook, we sit down, we taste everybody's recipes that they've made, and we kind of analyze what we've done with those different things. So we're standing here today in our beautiful demo kitchen here at the City Center campus. The building, $58 million. We have 11 state-of-the-art kitchens. We have 2 student-run restaurants. And so we really kind of feel it's an important aspect of education. The students really are very hands-on. We teach them some skills, and then in their 3rd semester here at the school, they're diving into the restaurants, one of the 2 restaurants we have here that are student-run. And they're really learning how to function in a kitchen environment, right? And so that's really important to us. We feel like most of the classes that we teach are very hands-on in that respect. And so we have 2 restaurants here at the school. Downstairs on the 1st floor, we have Thrive Restaurant that Chef Bucci is the executive chef, and then I run the front of the house in that restaurant. That restaurant is open to the general public for lunch on Wednesdays from 11 to 12:30. And then also this semester, we're doing Thursday evenings from 6 to 7:30. Next semester, starting in the fall, September, we'll be back to doing Friday night dinners, which is pretty typical for us. These restaurants are very busy. If you want to come in and have dinner or lunch with us, make sure that you call. The phone number to Thrive to make a reservation is 815-280-1201. We also have a 2nd floor restaurant here at the school called Saveur, and that restaurant is open for lunch on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 12:30. Again, really important to make a reservation. The restaurants are really, really busy. The number to Saveur is 815-280-1200. So this is actually part 3, right? Today we're going to talk about this wine called Buena Vista Chardonnay. So this is a 2018. Buena Vista is one of the oldest vineyards in Sonoma. They actually, back in the 1800s, brought many of the varietals that we drink today over from Europe and started planting them in Napa and in Sonoma. This is from the North Coast. So it doesn't have a Napa or Sonoma designation, and the reason for that is because the majority of the grapes that they're using to make this come from the North Coast region, not specifically from Sonoma. Some of them can, but they can't put that designation on it because the majority of them don't come from Sonoma. In this case, we're getting most of the grapes coming from that North Coast region. Sonoma's part of that. Napa Valley is part of that also. This wine's a little more expensive than the wines we've been doing. This is a $29 bottle of wine. Whole cluster pressed, which means they're picking the grapes off the vines, they're pressing them. You're getting a lot of that sort of, even some of the woodiness or tannin that you would get from those stems in the wine. And then they're doing 10 months of French oak barrel aging. And so what that does is, again, it creates another structural component for us, that kind of woody, caramely sort of flavor in our mouths when we're tasting this. It also goes through what we call malolactic fermentation. And so what that does is it changes malic acid, which is kind of tart, green apple, lime, lemon, citrusy flavors, into lactic acid, which is cream, butter, milky kind of flavors. And so a lot of times with these California Chardonnays, we pick up that really creamy, buttery, almost like caramel popcorn sort of flavor, and that's from that malolactic fermentation that's happening with this. With this particular wine, they didn't take it through, I tasted a little bit of it, they didn't take it all the way through malolactic. There's still some of that malic acid still that's there. It's tropical, which means to me that it is warm temperature. So wherever they're getting the grapes from, it's a little bit on the warmer side, a little bit like custard, lemon pie, mangoes, pineapples, baked peaches, right? So sort of creamy vanilla. Right? And so as Chef and I were talking about this wine, we were really trying to come up with recipes that would pair really nice with it. We noticed we're doing this pineapple salsa to play off the tropical flavors in it. We're building some of the creaminess with some of the sauces that we're doing to kind of maybe match some of that creaminess. There's a lot of acid in this wine, guys. They still left some of that lactic acid there, and so we'll be able to cut through a little bit of that fat and some of that cream that's going on there. This is a medium-bodied wine. Chardonnay sometimes can get bigger and fuller-bodied, depending on how far they take it with the malolactic fermentation. It's going to feel a little bit like whole milk in our mouths, but still really bright, really rich, has a really, really super long finish to it. So let's take a little taste, Chef, see what you think.
Love it.
I am actually a bigger component of Chardonnays that don't go through the malolactic fermentation. If you're drinking a white wine from Burgundy or a white wine from Chablis, those are Chardonnay-based wines, and those typically don't get a lot of oak and don't go through malolactic, and it really kind of maintains that really citrusy green apple flavor. This one you can really smell, right? It smells a little bit like cotton candy, a little bit caramely, a little woody, but still the tropical flavors are there, right? You got the pineapple, right? What do you smell?
I smell wine.
I get that a lot in my classes.
He's the wine connoisseur. I'm just a wine drinker.
So a little bit of green apple. There's some peach there. I can kind of taste that on the smell, that sort of that peach pie.
I do smell like that kind of peach.
Yeah. Go ahead and take a little sip. Yeah, just beautifully bright, really tropical. Again, this one has not gone through that full malolactic. I can taste the oakiness a little bit. I can taste a little bit of the buttery, kind of creamy, richy vanilla sort of flavor.
And it's not like some Chardonnays. Like some can just be real heavy.
Really heavy, yeah. So they've actually allowed this to be more traditional to the Burgundian, to the Chablis sort of way of making Chardonnay. And so I think that for me, is much more palatable, much easier to pair wine and food with. If it goes too far, it's kind of hard to think about how do you make something taste good with caramel if it's not a dessert, right? Yeah, and so sometimes we'll do like a caramel ice cream with the Chardonnay at the end if it's like really malolactic, it tastes really good. So
cool.
So really, really excellent. So what are we doing today for food?
All right, well, we're going to do some grilled chicken, just simple grilled chicken. You know, we can put a little rub on it, but we're going to serve it with a coconut curry sauce, simple sauce. If you want to marinate that chicken, you can in a little lime juice, olive oil, maybe a little ginger and garlic, and then you can grill it. Now, if you are going to marinate it, I didn't. So I have chicken breast, boneless, skinless. I'm letting it sit on some paper towels. So the key is you got to dry it. You got to oil either your griddle or your grill and your product. So If I marinate it, I'm still going to dry it off, reapply some oil to it, and then grill it. And if you want, you can, put a little bit of that marinade while it's cooking. Don't use it after because it's got raw chicken in there. But if you don't, some of the sugars, even, there's a little bit of sugar in the juice, or if you put, honey or something like that, it could stick and burn. Okay?
And I feel like chicken breast is really one of those things that's super hard to cook because it's like 1 second too long and it dries out, but you can't cook it not enough because it's too pink in the middle and people don't like it. And so it's a really kind of a difficult thing to kind of cook in most cases.
So I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my chicken. If you have a brush, that's fine. You don't want it to be like dripping in your grill.
And your pan's hot, right?
My pan has been heated just like you would normally heat up a grill. And then, I would clean it. I would take, if I'm using a real grill, I would take a towel, paper towel, fold it really good, apply a little bit of oil, and just kind of wipe this to make sure that it kind of creates that non-stick surface.
Right.
Scrape it really good with a brush. Make sure it's heated before you put your product on. Salmon, chicken, vegetables, everything should get oiled, and then your grill should get cleaned and oiled.
Very good.
Okay? So a little bit of oil, a little salt, pepper, and just be careful with the pepper and make sure that one of the things that I really focus on with the students is that they're seasoning evenly instead of like, right in the middle of a piece of fish or a piece of chicken. So now there's kind of a nice smooth side. That's the skin side of this bird. The rougher side, that's the bone side. I want to go skin side down. You hear that sizzle. So we've already, started cooking this chicken breast. Now, I'm not like a pro at cooking on a griddle. So, if this was a grill, I'd probably be able to manage it a little better. So we're going to hope it's going to come out right. We're going to get some nice color. I am going to turn it up just a little bit to get a little bit of heat going.
Good.
Okay? This is probably going to take a total of about 5 to 6 minutes. Okay? Now, a lot of the chicken breasts that you find at the store tend to be really thick.
They are.
So if you're using one of those really large birds, right? This big-breasted bird, I would have kind of a low to medium grill so it can either take its time or, you can always grill it and finish it in the oven if you don't mind turning the oven on. But that's after you get some really good color.
Can you flatten it out a little bit to make it so it's not so thick?
You can. But what I do, so you see the tail here, right? So that's always a little thinner.
Right.
When I get ready to turn this, if I have a grill, I can take this and kind of turn that where maybe the tail is a little closer to the front or the sides where there's less heat. So then this won't overcook while the other part is cooking.
Gotcha.
So just, if you can, and if you want, you can pound it, but you don't want to ruin the structure of it for grilling either. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to get our sauce going. So we're going to do just a simple coconut curry sauce, a lot of flavor. I have a saucepan just heating up on low. We're going to add just a little bit of oil. I'm just using olive oil. You can use, this is not extra virgin, just regular olive oil. You can use canola oil. You can use, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. Both are really good for that. And then I have a mix of minced ginger, 1 teaspoon of ginger, garlic, and green onion. Okay, like in Chinese food, they call it GGS, ginger garlic scallions. Okay, so we're going to add that to our oil. We're just going to go ahead and sweat that, meaning we're going to heat this without browning. We just want it to kind of cook very lightly in your oil to kind of soften those flavors. Okay, so I did turn it one way. A lot of chefs, they're into the diamond marks, and I did turn it diamond because of the way the griddle is. Me personally, I grew up using just straight up and down, but that's because I worked in some busy restaurants. As long as you get good color, that's what's important.
Flavor,
good color, good flavor, right? So we're browning those sugars in that bird. So we're just going to go ahead and soften these ingredients up. Sweat the garlic, the shallots, the ginger. I don't want any color on it. I'm going to add, this is just regular curry powder, not Madras curry powder. That's more Indian. So this curry powder, Madras is a little bit different flavor. This is just regular curry powder, and really curry powder is a British invention. Okay, so when British had control over India, they kind of took a lot of what they learned from Indians, brought those spices back, kind of created this curry powder. Okay, in India they would use like a masala mix, which is their own kind of spice mix. Everybody has their own.
So is curry an actual?
Curry is just a mix of spices.
It is, okay, very
Yeah,
good.
just a mix of spices. Cumin, coriander, cardamom, ginger, a lot of different spices, okay? So, but I do want to add that curry powder towards the end to kind of toast it a little bit.
Sure.
Bring out that flavor. And then we're going to add our coconut milk. This is just full-fat coconut milk. If you want to use light coconut milk, you can.
Right out of the can, correct?
Right out of the can. Make sure you stir it up.
Stir it up, yep.
This is some water. Now, you can use vegetable stock or chicken broth. You know, if you just have water, it's really fine. And then now, we're going to add some fish sauce. Okay, so I love fish sauce, right? So fish sauce is going to give us that saltiness that they use in like Thai, Vietnamese cuisine, where in China, Japan, they would use like soy or tamari. We're using fish sauce here. If you don't want to use fish sauce, you don't have to, but it's the backbone of Thai and Vietnamese cuisines. Pad Thai, Tom Kha Gai, you know, all these really wonderful dishes.
And notice Chef is really kind of adding flavors and components to build the body of the food, because chicken really is a very light sort of protein for us. And the wine that we're tasting is more of a medium-bodied to full-bodied wine. And we really want to make sure that we're making sure that those two go together and that they're mirroring each other, the body of the food and the body of the wine. So the chicken itself, not going to do it, but the addition of all these extra things that we're adding are going to actually help build the body of the food for us. So.
And then I'm going to add a little bit of chili garlic paste. So this is like, you know, how much, right? Half a teaspoon. If you like a little bit of spice, but you don't want it to hurt, quarter teaspoon. A half a teaspoon is really not going to be that much. You know, when you taste this, you should have this kind of sweet, salty. We're going to add a little lime juice to finish, sour and spicy, right? So you should have those flavors in balance. You shouldn't have something that's way too salty. You shouldn't have something that's too spicy. You should get it. You taste the coconut, you taste the curry, some of the spice comes through, some of the lime comes through. That's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah, and just remember too, guys, as we're looking at pairing these structural components in the wine and the food, Chef is doing the same thing just with the food itself. Different structural things, acid and saltiness and sweetness and spiciness and smokiness, to try to build those structural components in the food itself. So if you're not having wine, it still has a really nice balance, Chef, right?
Yep. All right, we're going to do the salsa. You can do this also like a day in advance, 2 days in advance. You can do it that day. So I'm just going to add a couple teaspoons of oil. I have, again, preheated pan. I'm going to add my ginger. This is some minced ginger. I'm going to add some red pepper, some green onion, a little bit of salt. I like to season as I go. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like to kind of soften these flavors a little bit, right? You could use red onion if you want. You could still do the same process, but if I do red onion in a raw situation where I don't cook it, I would rinse it really well after I cut it. So rinse onions, raw onions in a salsa, relish, salad, rinse them, let them drain, then go at it.
You guys, I see Chef almost every time he's doing anything, he's adding some kind of salt or pepper to it. We in restaurants, we like the way food tastes when it tastes really good, and salt enhances flavors, and so we use salt a lot to make things taste more flavorful, right, Chef?
Yep. All right, now, depending on your pineapple, like, you know, you get a pineapple, you get a mango, apple, if you're doing an apple relish salsa, you know, you want to taste it. Not the best time of the year, right?
Right.
If this was beautiful, bright yellow and sweet, I probably would just put it into my bowl. I'm going to add it to this. And again, just kind of cook this a little bit, just to help to bring out some of that sweetness. Because right now it's kind of hard. Not the best time of the year for pineapple, right?
And so did you use fresh pineapple or just from a can?
This was fresh.
Fresh, okay.
You could use canned.
Yeah, syrupy, yeah.
It's not great, you know. But, you know, the thing about that is it's always consistent.
And then you're making a salsa, and typically you wouldn't see people cook a salsa, right? You would just typically make it and use raw ingredients. But he's trying to pull out some of the flavors by cooking it.
Yep. Okay, so that's going good. My sauce is cooking down. We're just going to let that reduce just to thicken it up slightly. Okay, and then that's good here. We're not cooking it that much I still want to keep it very fresh.
Right.
Okay, my peppers, and I just use a little bit of red pepper. I'm not a huge fan of peppers in this state because they tend to overpower. If you want to put a little garlic, if you want to put a little spice in here, you can, but we already have some spice in the coconut curry sauce, so we don't need spice all over the road. All right, then we're going to add a little lime juice to this. Trade.
It's pretty normal when you're making a fruit salsa to add the acid component, right?
Yeah, acid, whether it's lime juice, lemon, vinegar, like cider vinegar, and like an apple salsa or something like that. And then I have some cilantro leaves. You know, I just take leaves, and I don't really cut herbs up a lot. I just kind of slice them. I don't chop them until they're kind of unrecognizable. If they're big and I want to run my knife through it this way, that's it. I don't really go much further. I want to keep the herb nice and green instead of just like really bruising and damaging it.
Is cilantro something you would see in like Middle Eastern cooking or?
In Middle Eastern, Thai, Vietnamese. You can also use like basil and mint for this. So both of those would go really well. That was a little bit of lime zest. So, and just the heat of that pineapple mixture is going to help bring out the oils from that lime zest.
I can smell it for sure, yeah. So.
Okay, now, we're looking good. Our chicken, so we want a nice little bounce to that, right? And that's looking pretty good. If you want to temp it, you could take a thermometer, insert it, try to get right in the middle.
Sideways?
Don't go down, sideways. You know, I would pull it out at like 160.
Sure.
And then let it rest for 2 or 3 minutes, and that carryover cooking, we'll take it to 165.
Beautiful.
Okay, so I'm kind of digging that. I like the way that feels. Make sure I think we're looking really good. I'm going to pull that off. We're going to let that rest before we serve it. Now, the rice, so here's that rice.
Rice is so hard to make.
And
oh my gosh.
15 minutes on, 15 minutes off, right? But the rice, then I would go ahead and fluff this.
Perfect, yeah.
At the, you know, and it's just really nice, light and fluffy, right? If you have a rice cooker, rock on with the rice cooker, right? It's a great thing to use, but if you don't have a rice cooker, this is a pretty no-fail way to cook rice.
Gotcha.
All right? Okay, so we're going to get ready to plate up. Couple for you. Couple for me. Put it in there. All right. So we have our rice. You know, if you want to use a mold or something like that, I'm not a big fan of like smashing stuff down.
That was from the 80s, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of more natural, like let it kind of fall, you know, maybe neatly, but just let it kind of fall. And I could smell the ginger and the lime zest from the rice. Simple, you know, we don't want it too salty because our coconut curry sauce is going to have some salt from the fish sauce. So let's taste this. And we have a nice consistency. We don't want it too thick.
Woo! Spicy?
Got a little sip. I like it. Now we're going to add a little bit of lime. I taste the fish sauce.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little spicy. I like it. But you want it to be a little stronger, right? Because you're eating it with kind of rice. Doesn't have a ton of flavor.
Sure.
We're eating it with chicken. Doesn't have a ton of flavor. Your sauce needs to really stand up. If it doesn't, then when you go to eat it, everything just falls flat.
Right. Or to taste the wine with it.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yes. So let's go ahead. I like the way this looks. A little bit of lime at the end. The salt is good. If it needed salt, I would put a little salt. If I felt like I wanted to use fish sauce in place of salt because I like it. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and I don't want this really too thick because I want to be able to eat it with the rice and kind of stir that around. It's not a broth, but it's on the line of like, it's a little thinner than a regular sauce. And I'm leaving all the particulates, the ginger, garlic, and scallion in there. Smells really good. All right. My chicken has kind of rested a little bit. I'm not one to slice chicken a lot because I would just serve that whole chicken breast because all the moisture and the heat's going to kind of come out of that bird. So we'll just do a couple little slices here.
Perfect.
That's a juicy bird. Yeah. That's a juicy bird. That's a juicy bird. All right. Okay, so we'll get a little couple pieces right here.
And you could do this as an entree if you were doing the full,
Appetizer.
or an appetizer. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So.
Yep, and then we have a little bit of this salsa. You could serve this warm. You could serve it kind of room temperature. You could serve it cold, but if I made it yesterday and it was in the cooler, I'd probably pull it out and let it kind of warm up just a tiny bit. You have a little bit more flavor. A little salsa, and then I just have a little bit of fine-cut green onion just for a little garnish. Super simple, and then there's no waste, right? So we utilize everything. Okay?
All right.
Clean up.
So again, we're going to do kind of the comparison analysis here with the wine. So we want to, again, coat our mouth, take a drink of the wine, kind of rinse our mouth out a little bit. Yeah, notice it's been sitting out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not as cold as it was when we first tasted it.
Better.
And just like you said before with the food, if it's too cold, it kind of masks the
Yeah.
flavors. Same thing with wine. If you drink wine that's too cold, white wine that's too cold, you can't really taste it. It's really beautiful and rich and just has really beautiful tropical flavors in it right now. So let's go ahead and take a taste. And again, we want to try to get as much of the components together in the bite.
Ooh, that's tender.
Beautiful curry flavor, taste of coconut, pineapple.
Little salt and acid in that
Oh, yeah.
sauce.
Oh, so good.
I like
Yeah,
that.
just really the beautiful fattiness of that curry sauce and the acid in the wine kind of help balance each other out a little bit. Really nice. Tropical flavors in the salsa. Tropical flavors in the wine.
It's really good.
What a great pairing.
Yeah.
Now, had that
There you
wine been too far along with the malolactic, I think it would have maybe not worked as well. That richness and the acid is just playing
Yeah.
off each other really, really nicely.
Yeah, you need something like a little lighter to
Yeah.
balance that out.
And the chicken by itself is just really not big enough. I don't think there's enough stuff there. But with all the other components that are going on, there's a little spicy and there's a little bit of sweetness, kind of play off of each other a little bit. The acid that you kind of put into the slaw or the salsa actually kind of helps balance that out a little bit for us too. So I think this is fantastic. Food's delicious. The wine with the food is really, really good. And so, again, we thank you for coming and seeing us. We really appreciate it. Again, we have classes available for you to take. If you're interested in maybe talking to somebody about taking classes here at the school, you can call 815-280-1255. Or you can send an email to drandall, that is DRANDALL, @jjc.edu. If you're interested in coming and seeing Chef and myself in the restaurant downstairs in Thrive, Wednesdays for lunch from 11 to 12:30, and then Thursday evening for dinner from 6 to 7:30. Phone number is 815-280-1201. We really appreciate you kind of hanging out with us. This is really fun for us to kind of get together and kind of talk about food and wine and
drink.
Drinking the wine and the food together is always fun for us too. So, so we really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. Thank you so much. Again, we'll save a seat for you here, Chef. Thanks for coming in. The food was delicious. The wine was really good. Really appreciate you coming and doing it. Everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.